She could probably keep herself busy, I feel like.
She's at the age right now where she's
pretty
She could
self-sufficient.
do
got
like
her
play
phone,
bank.
she's got her stuff, she's got her
Yeah,
art.
she can make artwork. She can like
She knows
set up a
she
whole
knows how to work the
schoolroom.
Nintendo Switch. She's fine. She's got it.
Bye.
It's my fault, I guess, because I said I wasn't wearing the hat.
You guys are like more like brother and sister than uncle and niece.
Yeah.
That's because she thinks she's 30.
That's the issue.
She thinks.
I have a
who does she
9-year-old
have
who thinks
wrapped
she's
around her
30.
finger?
Probably me.
Probably Quentin. Yeah.
That's what I felt.
That's
I'd
my
imagine.
baby. So I don't know.
And our mom.
And she knows. She
And
kind of
grandma.
knows.
She knows.
And grandma to some
And
degree.
grandma. But she bargains with grandma in a way as a child I could never.
They get away with more.
People, like, that's my baby. I
They
don't really
do,
care.
yeah. When I was, I was, a rascal. I was like the most rascalish when we were young.
There was rules for me that got invented because of him.
Yeah. So
but like rascal on a scale of 1 to 10, what were you?
Like a 12, probably.
Oh, that's pretty.
I was
bad.
a good kid.
So you scarred your parents.
Yeah, I was a good kid, but then high school was like junior high and high school. Yeah.
So by the time they got to him and the lower ones,
I got to junior high.
The little ones.
I couldn't hang out. I could only hang out with my best friend once a month because of the crap.
Oh, they were like burned.
Yeah, they were burned, but they did ease up in his high school because I had to like argue for every like event and function
this is really
I went
fun.
to.
You guys should just do
What?
that. Have all your brothers and talk.
I know.
Be like, we're not the Winans, but
We're not the
We have a
Winans.
lot of crazy stories.
I saw 2 Winans this week.
Yeah, which is crazy.
I
I
saw
knew you.
I
You
saw
said
Marvin
Cece.
and Cece at 2 different places.
How do you do that?
I don't know. I think it's God. I don't
Oh,
know.
I believe that.
My older brother's
believe
kind
that.
of like that.
Yeah, I don't know. It's like I don't have. I haven't had family, but I've had that. It's like I'd probably rather have family, but there's an old show called I Love Lucy.
Yeah, we know I love
and
Lucy.
I kind of. So okay, so come over here. So like we'll do this now. Thank you for having me.
Okay, so Tiffany Ocean, right? I'm actually met you recently. I met you like in the last couple weeks. And you have such a magnetic personality. It was fun bumping into you.
Aw,
and
thank you.
I enjoyed the time we had together.
Same.
And I got to know a little bit about you, that you worked in PR and that you have a talent and a gift of singing. And I'm just curious where that singing talent started. Were you raised in Orange County?
Great question. So I'm a California girl.
Okay.
So half my life was in Northern California in the East Bay area.
Cool.
So near the San Francisco Bay, but more in the suburbs.
Gotcha.
Like Walnut Creek area. And then the other half of my life was in Southern California. And when I came down here, I absolutely fell in love with the weather, the culture. I took kind of the artsy background that I had in San Francisco Bay Area.
Gotcha.
And brought that with me.
We are blessed with weather. So, yeah.
We actually have family in the Bay Area too.
Oh,
Our whole mom's side of the
Family
family
is from the Bay. Yeah.
I'm thankful for the culture that I had there. And I also attended the Academy of Art. And I learned the art of fashion history, actually.
Oh, awesome.
So there was a lot of culture as well, and a lot of different culinary expertise and all kinds of things that I think I've carried with me for a lifetime. Really eclectic coffee shops and singer-songwriters that I came into contact with that made me come alive. And at the age of 16, I remember the first time I ever asked permission to sing at a jazz club.
Wow.
And I had actually heard the jazz from the outside. And I used to actually go by myself around the city because it was safe back then to do so. And that could be, arguably decided, by different people.
Maybe safer, but.
But I was able to actually, I remember taking days where I would just walk around the entire city. And you can do that in San Francisco. Everything is really close together. And I remember, again, just hearing a jazz club kind of restaurant and being able to walk by and thought, oh my gosh, I hear jazz music. And my dad is a really great cook, and I'm familiar with, excellence in culinary crafting, and I'm familiar with jazz music, and I can sing. Why not go in and ask permission? And he said yes, and I felt very comfortable and at home at that point. And that was probably the first time I had sang in a professional establishment.
That's awesome.
That's
So
super cool.
when did you learn that you could sing? Like, I mean, you grew up just singing with like your parents, or?
When I was a little girl, I loved Whitney Houston and I loved CeCe Winans.
She's a woman of culture.
I out of all people in the world, those are the two that absolutely thrilled my heart. So they taught me to sing with a little more soul
Yeah.
and a little more heart. And I actually looked up to them because they both had class and they both sang songs that were very inspiring. And I think a lot of people still look up to them to this day.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely.
I was so stoked when you started bringing up like different gospel singers when we were talking. I was like, what? You were like, do you know Fred Hammond? I was like, what do you mean do I know? I was like, you mean the guy who's got me through the hardest times of my life?
Right.
Yeah. He was telling me a little about you. And she's like, she brought up Fred Hammond. I said, what's she know about Fred Hammond?
Yep, surprise.
We run Fred Hammond back daily.
Oh yeah.
So that's what
I think growing up, I was very drawn to people that told a story.
yeah.
And I think the art of storytelling through song is something that will never get old. It's timeless. It will stand, forever, and people will always want to relate emotionally, I feel like, to story through song. And I think that's why I fell in love with more gospel artists too, because when you're going through it and you're growing up and someone offers inspiration, there's something inside of you that says, all right, I've got all this kind of like almost like emo kind of emotion happening. I have different changes happening that I'm not fully aware of, but these inspirational kind of stories are coming to me and they're outside of this kind of like moody place that I'm in. And I think I was drawn to that inspiration. I still love, to be honest, like artists like gosh, I was so young, but like Alanis Morissette and Fiona Apple, and those were introduced to me like, by my parents and my friends' parents. But I still think there was something inside of me that wanted to bring people up higher.
Elevate them.
I learned that through those two artists, how to come out of where you're at and sing about something else. Yeah.
You started in the Bay,
Mm-hmm.
16, jazz club. That was the first time you kind of like let your pipes out in front of people in
Right.
a way.
Besides a talent show at school, yes.
Okay, there you go. There you go. That's dope.
Those talent shows, they get you started somewhere.
What led you down to Southern California?
I remember growing up, I went to summer camps down here, and I just remember bonding with the other kids. And again, the weather was always seemingly sunnier than the Bay Area. And honestly, I think secretly deep down, I always had kind of this take with Hollywood. I definitely felt like people who were of a creative inclination were very, very intriguing to me. So I loved the performing arts, but there was something, I loved the fine arts. But there was something about the art of film and the art of music that seemed to be more highly concentrated in Southern California.
Right.
I met more people in film and music down here than I did up there. And I think there is obviously a well-renowned hub for artists in Southern California. And that spark kind of came alive in me as well.
I know that you're down here in Orange County because of, is that related to the fires? Yeah, I remember you talking a little
Currently,
bit about
yes,
that.
I absolutely needed to kind of get some clean air, stay with family for a little bit, figure things out. And really, different parts of the city have been grieving all of the changes. But I know we're going to come back and rebuild, and people are going to create beautiful, beautiful pieces of restoration, and whether it be architecturally or musically, cinematically, I think people are going to have incredible comeback stories after this time. There's a part of me that has a journalistic aspect as well. I did the high school newspaper, and in college I also did, and I worked on a TV show. It was a Christian TV show interviewing bands for a while.
Oh, sick.
When I was like 20, 21, 22. And so there was something that always sparked inside of me to want to be a part of a movement, I guess, or be a part of a musical family that was making a difference in a positive way as well. So a lot of these bands that I was interviewing were doing like fundraisers or charity or, doing outreach for some sort of people group. And that really sparked, something inside of me. So I've been even contemplating doing an outreach in Los Angeles and gathering artists to come together and do that as well.
That's really cool. I just wanted to give a PSA. I work in Santa Monica. My job was like 4 or 5 blocks from the Palisades fire.
Yeah.
So we were shut down for a little bit. But I just want to let people know in LA, just make sure during this time, no one's cleaning the ash off the top of trees. No one's cleaning the ash off the top of buildings. So when winds pick up, there's a lot of ash in the air, especially for singers. You just want to protect your vocal cords. So, I mean, I wear there's times when if I'm just gallivanting about Santa Monica, I'll still wear N95. Not saying that you have to wear a mask, but just be kind of cognizant of your health and the air quality because it's a real thing and it's a silent killer. And it's like one of the slow effects. Sometimes you don't see the effects of it till 20 years later. So just make sure you know what's going on, you know the air quality of your area, especially during a time like this if you're living in LA. So stay safe out there. But yeah.
And Quentin, you already deal with like sinuses and stuff, so you already know. You're already. He's on top of that.
I have the worst allergies known to man, and they're the most they're prevalent because it's everywhere. I'm allergic to dust and pollen. So I always say when I wake up, the air is my op. Like I wake up swinging. It's never like what a beautiful day. I'm like,
oh, cool. We can be allergy twins.
Yeah.
I have allergies with dust and pollen as well.
Okay, so, close to my heart. You get it.
Yeah, we could write a song.
I work in a brick building. I'm down.
We could write a song. We could totally write a song about that. But that's definitely been an interesting little twist in the story of singing songwriting. I was actually about to make an album recently, and oddly enough, the studio is in Pasadena. So I've been learning that when life gives you a pause or an obstacle, you absolutely overcome it,
right?
Or you wait it out and you prepare for when that obstacle is going to be lifted so that you're ready to go.
I love that.
Our pastor speaks on that, and we call it when you get sidelined by the God idea.
Mm-hmm.
So you have a great idea, right? And it looks good, and then you get sideswiped and people like panic, just catastrophe strikes. But usually, it's a perspective change, and the God idea, it actually sets you up for something even better. And sometimes people miss it because they're mourning their great idea.
I always say that too. I love that. I always say you can have a good idea, but is it a God idea?
Exactly.
Because the God idea is the only one that will stand. And it's so funny how people honestly think that they're in control of their own universe. And to some extent, it is so important that we do take responsibility of what we can do in our life the best we can. But there are things that are out of our control. And for those things, we need to kind of surrender. And prepare for the next steps.
Yes.
And it did kind of, give me an unnerving kind of feeling when these fires have taken kind of everyone by surprise. Right. People I've loved, even the old office I used to work for in the Palisades burned to the ground. Mm-hmm. So there's something in me that's grieving for the loss that's happening and the people. And plus, I fell in love with different parts of the city, and I'd lived on the west side and the east side. Even though I have family in Orange County, I was living in LA, about 6 years, and it felt like home. So with what you just said, I was just saying to everyone, I'm on other people's albums singing background, right? And I'm going to make my album finally, right? And when I was a lot younger, I said no to several record deals that had kind of the casting couch strings attached. Mm-hmm. And as a woman of morals and values, I chose to say no to compromise and to taking actions or getting an album in a way that would have compromised my integrity.
Right.
And those were real definite offers. I could tell you really big names that came to me and offered things, but that's not going to really solve anything or help anyone to mention who
Right,
or why.
Yeah.
Hopefully they learned from it and they, have recognized that it's better to just acknowledge the craft. And just like every industry, you're going to have people of excellence that are chasing things for the art of what they're doing
The
and
beauty
wanting
of
to
it.
excel,
Yeah.
and wanting to build a legacy that's lasting in people's lives. And there's
Yes.
people that are kind of there and shouldn't be there anymore. And they shouldn't
Mhm.
be in places of power. And I think we're living in a time where, everyone says, oh, we should be, like we're getting too aware. No, I think we should always be as civil as we can,
Always be civil, always be aware. Yeah.
and I think that people should be consistently checked when they're in places of kind of authority or doorkeepers for something in any industry,
You got to speak up. Bad things happen when good people do nothing, and
Yeah.
I'll die on that one for sure.
Yeah.
So I'm curious, like walk me through this because I'm trying to
Mhm.
piece it together a little bit. Like I know we talked a little bit about you singing and meeting certain people and being in the background of certain albums. Like, can you kind of walk me through like your singing journey?
Sure. So let's see. So going back to when I used to sing in different restaurants around the city as a teenager, that was an interesting time. I also was in musicals.
Oh,
So, every older musical prior to that was written prior to probably 1980, like I did them all. Like all the musicals that were written before I was born. And I would say there'd probably be a few from the 90s I did, but not too many. I think Grease, I don't know when Grease was written, but
right.
I was in that too. I definitely think we have a rich musical history, but I think that I started to recognize that my love for theater changed,
Hmm.
and I really started to fall in love with, I would say like right around 25, 26, I fell in love with music that was more, I would say indie style, like soulful,
Mhm.
um, music that had a message that wasn't really commercialized.
Oh, I see.
And
Yeah.
then I was in a band and I joined a band,
Okay.
and my local church had started it, and it was really fun, and they weren't as stressed as I thought it was going to be.
I sing on Sundays at my. I'm part of the worship team at my church, so I get what you're saying.
Yeah, it was really peaceful. I think I was really blessed to have people that actually just love being together, and I was so excited. At the same time, I had started to pursue acting for television,
Okay.
and I was offered a TV show called 6 Feet Under. They were going to Taft-Hartley me, which means that you can bypass paying the Screen Actors Guild union dues and fees, which is like several $1,000s. I was offered a lot at that time. I had a very kind of interesting time where I ran into a world-renowned producer at that time when I was in the band. We had played in a secular regular venue, and he had definitely produced bands that, we've all heard of. And at that time, I was really thinking about things and kind of praying, do I take this offer? I don't know if I shared this with you, but there was a little bit of a turn. You talk about God's timing being different than ours. And I had actually in like 25, 26, I got diagnosed with thyroid cancer.
Oh, no.
So
Didn't know.
that was a spin.
Yeah.
And I was surprised and decided I had to go through treatment and surgery. So these huge offers and opportunities had come to me. Huge offers and opportunities. There was more coming my way. And I had to say no. And I believe to this day that it was kind of probably a detour in a direction that taught me. I mean, I went through that for a few years,
Wow.
and it
Yeah.
taught me compassion, patience,
Yeah.
gratitude. And I didn't understand those aspects really when I was songwriting previously.
I was gonna
So,
say, so I just jumping off of that, I
mhm,
like totally when I was talking to Mitch about you, like Mitch
mhm.
was like, "She's so positive." I don't know. I was like, "You gotta be." And, and then he was like, "There's something like special about her. And I was like, she's just
Aw.
authentic.
Mhm.
I was like, you're not used to being around like people who are authentic. Like she
Right.
says what she means, and
Mhm.
you can tell you're kind of just like kind of leading with your heart.
Oh, that's kind.
You're
Thanks. And during that time when I was sick, I actually only told a few people. I didn't want people to see me that way.
mhm.
I wanted them to see me as a woman who was, taking on the world no matter what. And actually, I went really vegan during that time. For like a couple years, I was really vegan. I don't know. I just felt like it would cleanse me, and I believe it did. There's something about keeping your body really clean
Mhm.
and organic that I think can help everything. I went through the traditional, medical route, plus took a lot of supplements,
Right.
a lot of alternative medicine
You just
treatment.
want like the stuff in your body it can pull from when it's ready to fight back. So
Yeah, I did all of it. And during that time, I remember getting really angry and I remember getting frustrated. And I had met so many amazing people during that time. I remember praying, God, I'll go to heaven if you want me to. But if it's not time, then I said, let me know this week. And I kid you not, that week, 4 people that were kind of pillars in modern, 2 of them were pillars in modern Christian culture, and 2 others were pillars in modern musical culture. And one of them was CeCe Winans.
Oh, that's awesome.
And she had told me, when you come through this, you will, the private things that we talked about, I won't share, but this one particular sentence that she told me was, when you come through this, you will not smell like smoke. When you come through this fire, you will not smell like smoke. And I have to be honest, that there's certain women, when I look at them, they have such resilience and strength that I remember thinking, I want to look like them. I remember being young and thinking that they were radiant. I would meet women and I would hear their story and be shocked at some of these empowering kind of choices they had made to overcome, instead of be bitter, but be better and make an impact on the world. And from a very young age, I remember thinking, I want to make an impact like that. And I, to be honest with you, did not have a family that was like, go team, go arts. I'm always there for you. I love you. I was an only child. My parents were very busy. I'm very like connection oriented and relationship oriented, and they're not as much. I'm very like, everyone come over and eat. I kind of am my own person. And so when I went through this time of kind of getting through, I made a decision that I wanted God to infuse in me a story. And I said, I'll go through this and just make it beautiful and make it a story that other people would want to listen to. So one of the songs that I'm going to be coming out with as soon as we complete this album will be called Resilience.
Mhm.
And that's something that I've learned through all of this time, and it's really important to me. And I've met because I've been on the publicist side of things. I've been an event producer. I've been a hair and makeup artist. I've been a stylist.
Okay, yeah, you got to tell us a little bit about that journey too. Like,
Gosh.
how'd that all start?
Yeah. So in the midst of, I decided I've made a decision that when I go through hard times, I'm going to milk them for what I can and get as much as I can out of it. So I'm trying to think of what it would be like, but it's kind of like they say that if lightning touches sand, it becomes glass. And I learned that from Sweet Home Alabama, the movie. But I was like, how can I take the worst thing on the planet and make it something beautiful like that, right? And so I have this challenge that I tell myself, like, how can I overcome and make something beautiful? So while I was actually going through that time of being, what the world would say would be sickness, I was like pumping vitamins and all these minerals. And I was like running all the time and doing like 6 miles a day. I wish I could do that again. And yeah, I just really took that time to knock on big doors. And I was like, who cares? That's the cool part about if you don't know if you're going to stay or go to heaven. You just are like, who the heck cares? I don't care what people think. You come to this end of your ego and you realize like, I think I'm going to live for purpose rather than ego.
Yeah.
and the conceit left, all the vanity, all the like trying to keep up with the Joneses left.
Mhm.
So those, when you kind of like go through something new, you can shed the old kind of part of you from the last season of life.
Yeah.
And that's what happened to me. So I was like, let's do something new. So I like called up like the top the top. Oh, so I have to share this part too. I worked at Disney in their entertainment department.
What? Okay, wait. Okay, so you worked at Disney. I'm trying to keep up with all your jobs. I got like a running list. Okay, wait. So you worked at Disney in their entertainment department.
Right.
Was that up? Was that down here?
At Disneyland,
Okay,
yes.
Yeah.
During that time too.
Okay,
So
okay.
so I was like, okay, if I'm going to go through this, I'm going to work at the happiest place on earth and I'm going to audition for entertainment. I'm not even going to go for like, something hidden. I'm going to be bold and I'm going to like, make myself bloom in the craziest place. I'm going to be in like the eye of this hurricane, but I'm going to be in the calm part. And that's kind of what I wanted to do. I wanted to escape what I was going through. So I was like, I'm going to thrust myself into a happy moment. And when I worked in entertainment at Disney, I got to talk to kids from the Make-A-Wish Foundation and sing to them and be like, hello, everyone. And how are you? And, all the
because
things.
you were friends with.
Well, we won't go there right now, but
all right.
let's just say that I enjoyed
Right.
making their day magical. And
Okay.
I kind of, once you work there, it's like you're trained from the good old days.
Mhm.
You kind of never forget it.
Yeah.
You take it with you. And once I had been really grown in confidence at that time, I was like, why can't I perform somewhere else? Why can't I produce something beautiful somewhere else? So then I started contacting event producers. I worked, I did so much at that time. I worked as like doing kids parties. And then I started doing, when I say adult parties, I mean, I worked for places like Sony Pictures.
Wow.
Right.
We did an event at Warner Brothers, kind of more of an event producer
Mhm.
where I would partner with other vendors, other musicians, and we'd
Right.
create events at studio lots. And then I became completely in love with media, and because I would connect with people in media. And that's when I really realized, gosh, I would love to do, not just do events for them. I'm going to do publicity.
Gotcha. So how long ago was that?
I'm really funny with dates. I did a lot in a very short period.
She was riding the storm.
I was riding the wave. I literally was like, I had friends that are like, how are you doing this? Like, you're doing event producing, then you're doing hair and makeup for like, and I won't say names, I almost did. But I would do event producing. Once I quit Disney, I would do event producing, hair and makeup. And they were both kind of centered around the music and film worlds.
Gotcha.
So it was just through connections and friendships.
Mhm.
And then I started to really want to do things myself when I saw the singers and all the celebrities that I was encountering in these worlds.
Mhm.
I was like, wait a minute, I have a personality.
Yeah.
Wait a minute, I can sing. Wait a minute, I'm really like singing, all the time. Why am I not doing anything with this? So later in life, I would say really only in the last few years.
Mhm.
That was at least, it's like when you go 10 years ago, 12 years ago, you kind of go in your head, you go, okay, time's going by.
Right.
And I haven't maybe told my own story.
Mhm.
And there was kind of this epiphany moment of that. Like, I'm
Yeah.
helping other people be known.
Right.
But where are my projects that are in my spirit, that are in my
Mhm.
soul, that God gave me to share with this world?
Right.
So I remember I sang at House of Blues. That was really
Oh,
fun.
that's cool.
I sang at the Whiskey A Go-Go. That was really fun. And right before COVID, I would say a couple years before COVID is when I was like considered in remission. So I went through it for a while.
Gotcha.
I don't have the timeline super perfect,
Right.
but when I found that out, I was so thrilled. And I had started working on songs and writing them. And that skill just kept growing. And actually, a gentleman sponsored for me to go to this kind of music artist camp
Mhm.
at a major music studio.
That's awesome.
And it was called Artist Max, plug for Artist Max. Actually, it was really something that Ken Calais had started, and he's Colby Clay's father. He was her manager, and he sponsored me to go.
Oh, that's awesome. That's cool.
I just wanted to make a note, because our podcast is really centered around inspiring other people to go for the passions and dreams and the purpose that God put in their heart.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to make a note again, Tiffany, you're amazing. I'm not just saying that. It seems like, you went through this trial and it was a catalyst and it got rid of some inhibitions and changed your perspective.
Inhibitions as well as idols.
As idols.
Yeah.
But you're still you, and you started blooming, right? And then all these opportunities kind of started opening up and you took the risk.
The first opportunities that came to me were ones that would have compromised the values of my soul. Then opportunities started coming that were smaller, but they were valuable.
They're valuable.
And whether it was a worship team or whether it was, in a restaurant again, or whether it was in an absolute music studio, I just learned that saying yes to the right things was important.
And you started. A lot of people have all this great talent and great ideas, and they have this fear and hesitancy of starting.
Yeah, I think just adding on to what you're saying, Quentin, and jumping on what you just said is just an openness to saying yes to the right. Where you're like, this feels right. I'm saying yes.
I'm going to be honest. I think the catalyst to help me let go of fear, because I still am a person that everyone battles something, right? Everyone has some sort of, there's good and bad in this world, and everyone has something that kind of approaches them, and they have to make a decision on a daily basis how to go through that or bypass it or just keep going. Mine was fear. And so I honestly think the catalyst that helped me to get through fear is love. Like the Bible says, perfect love pushes out fear. And I know we say cast, but I like the words push it out, because I think sometimes people they stew in their head.
Yeah.
And if you think about, I have this kind of community group in Los Angeles I started called Freshwater. And the reason why I called it that is because stewing or staying in the same water every day makes you sick.
It's so true. Yeah.
And it kind of creates this stagnancy.
Yeah.
And there's no life in that. We are created to have vitality.
Right.
And the only way that we can kind of sing a new song or have a new experience or experience new things in life is to take a new step. And the catalyst that helped me do that, I'm going to be real with you, was for me, it was actually pain. And it was actually those surprise things that I went through to test my faith, to test my character, to actually open my eyes to what matters most. And I was given that gift, I think, through a very unlikely circumstance.
You don't really know who you are until you're tested. You don't know your capabilities, your limits. You gotta test your measure. It's so important.
Yeah, and I think just really your thought life is extremely important. I'm big on that. Like I'm big on like what thoughts I'll even allow to like cross through my mind, even for like a half a second. Like I'm just big. Like if it doesn't align to the vision, it's like instantly.
Yeah, and I think because you guys come from a family of, is it 5 total brothers? We said.
Yeah. Yes. 5
5
boys,
brothers
5
and
boys,
1 sister.
and 1 sister.
So
yeah.
to me, I'm not going to lie about this. I get jealous of people that have big families. That's like the one thing in the entire, I don't get jealous over anything except big family. And I believe like being, there's sisters and brothers all over the world, right? We all have the family of God, but that's a very big gift. And as someone like me, who's been a little bit more of like having my community be my brothers and sisters, I think forging community is really, really important.
Yeah.
And being transparent and authentic with them and creating a safe space for that to happen is so important. Because for those of us who don't have that, blood related, tons of family in our face all the time, it's so important to have people that care about you, that you build with.
Yeah.
Especially towards your goals. Because you can have people you just meet with and completely waste time. But when you have people that help you, I have this lady from a very well-known, record company, and she always says, when are you going to get that album? When are you going to blankety blank? Uses very colorful words. And I don't mean like colors like those flowers. I mean we know. Very, very special words. When are you going to have an album? And it takes somebody believing in you like that And I kind of, to be honest, wish more church culture was like that. More of the faith culture kicked each other's butts to fulfill our calling.
I've been blessed in a lot of ways because I do have a big family and I have brothers and sisters, parents who support, basically anything that comes up in my wild mind.
That's wonderful.
But but I also have like a great group of friends, guys that I grew up with. Like there's like 6 of us, I think, that
Right.
and they've always held me down. And then now in this stage of my life, I definitely have like a circle of people who we work on projects together, and they're all like aligned in the mission and the vision of like completing an execution. So that's like fundamental. That's key. Yeah.
I also think that we go through things to get us out of our comfort zone so that we're stretched a little bit more.
Right.
Because of what I've been through, my adaptation levels are different than the average person.
Mm-hmm.
I've had to adapt to things that most people are like inconvenienced. It's like, I remember, I'll never forget it. I had a friend that broke her necklace and she was like crying and crying. And I'm like, was it valuable? No. Was it an heirloom? No. I just really liked it. And it's like, God bless her for that. But I was like, okay, so it's not really valuable. No one really that special gave it to you. But to see a full-grown person cry over a necklace being broken, it was a reminder to me that we mature and we get stronger through the things we face. Every superhero you ever see in a film, they get stronger through the things they face.
Right. Trials and tribulations.
And there's an artist I love, John Batiste, who I got to see. Also, this last weekend, I got to see my 2 favorites, CeCe Winans and John Batiste, which is crazy. Right? And I was like listening to him, and he is such, shout out to you if you're ever going to see this, John, but there is an incredible, you never know.
No. Hey.
He is an incredible performer to the point where he had everyone in the audience literally go like escaping from the crazy, escaping from the Southern California fires, and all of the questioning and like the new presidency and all of the squabbles and the different kind of conflicts that are going on. And John Batiste created a space where everyone could come, and literally he was like playing When the Saints Go Marching In on this like, I don't even remember what the instrument was called. It was like a harmonica and a piano combined. Melodica or melonica. I can't remember, but there was the coolest thing. And he was playing, New Orleans style.
Yeah.
Almost like Dixieland type music. And it was the coolest thing. And he was going around the audience, and he trusted the audience to just really like feel the music and feel him and his players. And he was just so full of joy and so full of getting everyone to like leave where they were at prior to being there and come to this place together. And I literally felt like I was at Disneyland for the soul for like an hour and a half.
We interviewed this movement practitioner named Mia, and she was talking about like when she's choreographing, like she gets hired to choreograph an area, or she just has like kind of an event that she's a part of.
Right.
And she has her dancers come through and they create like an experience where they're dancing, but like people can like walk through the dancers.
I love that.
It's super interesting. It's like a different type of, so when you were talking about that, he was like trusting the audience to kind of like interact. That's pretty dope. That seems like something special that's kind of moving through the arts.
Yeah, and what's very ironic is I was in a music video. I was with him and Lana Del Rey like a few years ago. I know I keep popping up these random little things, but I didn't know he was that incredible. Like I always knew he was talented, but this was another level because he was able to create his own atmosphere.
Yeah.
And there was something that I took note of for that when you get a chance to perform and when you get a chance to have a platform, you have an opportunity to change your audience's life for that period of time and bring it into a whole different place than they were before.
Right.
And I just feel like God breathes inspiration to us. And I believe that we can absolutely take action to inspire as much as we can, even with everything going on.
Right.
And it was so beautiful and refreshing to see that displayed this past weekend.
That's cool. That's super dope.
And I saw both of them at the NAMM show, just to make clear. I didn't like go to 2 concerts back to back. There was that, music convention and they were both
I was
there.
like, you're concert hopping.
She said we ran it back and it was amazing.
I'm not an instrumentalist. I always have had friends that say, why don't you learn piano? Why don't you learn guitar? And I've learned a couple chords on the piano or the guitar, but I don't have that draw to really, really learn the instruments themselves. Of course, like as a vocalist, I want to learn constantly and learn more. But I have friends that have been trained, and they have their masters in music. And for some reason, we can still write a song together. I'll usually get the melody and the lyrics, and we can harmonize and all the things, and I'll hum the melody and they'll be able to play it out. But it's kind of fascinating. If anyone's listening, it's kind of a good reminder that you can be very well educated, and really be like top tier in that respect. And there's always more to learn. I just actually took a workshop with a professor from the Berklee College of Music just to kind of get my gears,
Nice.
unrusted, to get the rust off. But, I think when you really think about it, it's not about overthinking. It's about just learning and doing and trying and being willing to have that reaction. Like when I present a song or when I am singing with someone, I can't really worry about if I can produce perfection. It's more about, can I produce progress?
Wow.
You
I
know?
love that.
And so I think that's
Produce
just something we
progress.
need to remember as well.
That's something I'm taking. I'm stealing that from you. Produce progress. Tiffany Ocean said, I'm
gonna quote you.
And the reason why I wanted to go by Tiffany Ocean, or I was doing Ocean for a while, but is because I felt like I wanted to be a place of refreshing. And it's funny because I'll get songs that are, and hopefully the album will be coming out soon, but we'll get done with these fires. We'll get back in the studio and complete it.
We're gonna promote it on our end for sure.
I would love that.
Let us know. Yeah.
I would love that. And it's going to have a range of kind of like almost like Billie Eilish, but with some, hope in it, because she asks, what was I made for? And I have a song that kind of responds to that. And then there's like a song that sounds kind of like Adele, but with a happy, soulful kind of aspiration. It's like, I'm actually going to be okay versus, the sadness that she kind of had in most of her songs. I feel like the sky is the limit. And I think more and more, I think the older we get, we care less and less about what people think in kind of a scrutinizing way.
Yeah.
Of course, you want to grow in excellence, but you care less about kind of the things that used to hold you back.
Don't sweat the small stuff. Yeah.
Exactly.
You know the gospel song Oceans?
Yes.
I feel like you embody that song really well.
Oh, that's so cool. Yeah.
When you first told me you were going by Oceans.
My life used to be something that I wanted to predict. I remember a lot younger, I told God, like, this is how it's going to turn out. For real. I was like, okay, I'm going to do A, B, and C. I'm going to, do the singing. I'm going to be a broadcast journalist and an actor, and then I'm going to be a professor in that order. And I told God, this is how it's going to go down this way. And I truly remember, I didn't also tell you that I went to Bible college.
Oh. What?
Her side quest completion rate
I know.
is top tier.
You're just out here side questing. You're
You
just
got
getting
the Infinity Stone
yeah.
shit. I collected the Infinity Gauntlet.
You're just on adventures.
Yesterday.
You're on adventures.
But I had a woman come to me and say, I feel like even though, you have that desire and pressure to go to UCLA and do all the, Ivy League school, there's something about being very grounded spiritually for you that's important. So, and she said, I feel like you will be around people in Los Angeles in the media and music industry. And she said, but I feel like you need to have a spiritual groundedness first. And you take this to your own, knowing and thinking and processing and praying, and you decide. And I am so glad that I listened. And I was like, God, if I need to go there first and put that first, show me. And I kid you not, when I have come across so many different people in the industry that have tried to tug or pull on my soul, yeah, I may have had this crazy amazing album. Yeah, I could have been a lot more like well known when I was younger and had all of these different products and songs, but I would have compromised and I would have been a mess. I mean, you guys have seen Britney Spears. You guys have seen, I don't want to name other names, but they've gone through a lot of peril and a lot of stress and a lot of unnurtured mental health because of the compromises.
Yeah.
And they've even admitted it. I mean, even Justin Bieber has admitted that there's been things he doesn't want to rehash again.
Right.
And so I think just remembering that when you do something, even though it looks like it's sparkly and it's so quick, instant gratification, it may not always be the best for you. And so I have friends that literally from a young age, doors just opened and they were huge.
Right.
And that was their path. But I've learned that everyone's timeline is different.
Yeah.
When we hit our different, special, like really powerful goals or really powerful landmarks, there's something about how it's uniquely meant for you at the right time. And it's weird because I'm older and I'm still feeling like I'm still coming towards this project and this album. And I'm so excited and so thrilled. And we're going to try to pitch some of the songs for film and television for soundtracks.
Yeah,
That's
that's
one of my
awesome.
top
Yeah.
10 goals.
Cool.
And if I can, perform for people and make them laugh or make them inspired, whatever I can do, I feel like it'll be worth it. And if I would have done it when I was younger, I had a friend come up to me and say they would have chewed you up and spit you out because there's a timing for everything.
Yeah, right.
We always say to humble ourselves, we're like, Jesus didn't start the main quest till his 30s. So what makes me think I have to right now,
Well, I think like Brad put it this way. He said the rhythm of heaven is patience, right? And so
And perseverance.
And perseverance, yeah.
Mhm.
And I think there's just an approach to everything. It doesn't have to be like so desperate or so
Right.
so lack based, but it's like everything's abundant and everything is coming to me. And honestly, like opportunities are opening up for us all the time. And so it's just, I think for us, more so for me right now and at this point in my life, I just really want to make sure that the internal work is
right.
is solid. That's
Your input's your output.
yeah. Because I've lived a life where everyone, everything was going great
Right.
outwardly,
Right.
but I was like falling apart on the inside, and so it's like, okay, people think good of you and everything's bad, and then people think bad of you and maybe you're doing a little bit better, but so I think I learned early that it was just kind of like
And I
whatever.
had those moments where I would meet, big producers. And I keep saying this because it was something that was like a lure, like a hook for me. Everyone's different, but I was very drawn in by, the prestige of those things. But I would get this kind of inner core, kind of like little, kind of tiny little voice tell me things like be their friend, be genuine, be present.
Right.
And I think people don't forget you when you do that and you absorb that moment in a really beautiful way. There's not many people have learned how to do that. Like you talk about being centered.
Yeah.
And I think it's really, really valuable to have. There was something this last weekend I told you I was a part of called the She Rock Awards.
Yeah, bro.
It was women supporting women in music. And some of them have been doing it a long time and some are just now coming up. And it was so beautiful to see young, old, every background, every ethnicity, every socioeconomic standing, like all the different styles of music, all these different women supporting each other and building each other up and being positive. Their husbands were there. Yeah, I'm supporting my wife, I'm supporting my girlfriend. I'm supporting my sister. And the girls were like, I support her. I support her. And I was like, wow, like we need more of this. We need more of this in our culture. We need to kind of bring up those types of energies in what we're bringing to the world.
Name something that you're excited about right now.
I think the thing that I'm most excited about right now is wanting to do an outreach, wanting to do a music outreach for the people in the city of Los Angeles and gathering artists to do it. I think that would be something that would really be meaningful for me. And I'm also, I don't want to like say too much, but I feel like you can never stop. Okay, let me rephrase that. I feel like there's always something new to be learned.
Yeah.
It's so important to take rest moments and pause moments. Take a day and just rest and then recalibrate. I used to feel so guilty for that. So, and then I went to the other extreme where I was like, "Oh, I'm just going to take a whole like weekend and do nothing," right? And then I'd come to Monday and be like, this isn't working." So I feel like having a balance is something I'm learning, but I think the outreach is something I'm really excited about. I'm also taking a program to learn how to produce film right now and get certified in that.
Awesome.
So I'm trying to take, I know it sounds like a lot, but I'm trying to like kind of ever keep growing and take all these tools in my tool belt so that if these opportunities come, I'm ready with something in my tool belt, right? And I think just taking the course and just getting certified, from this film school in New York it's online, but it's from New York is something that is exciting for me. And I think being able to give back to the community is something that's really exciting for me. And they're both things that take courage and they're both take investment of time. So you have to make a decision. You have to say, okay, I'm not going to listen to everyone because when you start to do something, it doesn't matter if you're younger, older, and then there's people that are older than us, right? But I think the constant is that you just have to do it.
Yeah.
You just have to reach out. Like I'm already like talking to friends and trying to put things together, and you think, well, what can I do? But instead of thinking like that's so wrong, right? Or it's too late, or it's too early, or whatever, or I'm a female, or I'm this, or I'm that, or my voice is too whatever. It's all of these obstacles can truly stop you from what you're meant to be doing. And if let's say we do the outreach and let's say, I'm not sure how big it's going to be, but even if it reached 5 people, that would be worth it. If it reaches 500 or 5,000, I don't know. We're working on all the dynamics, but I've learned to not allow the numbers to really affect me. I'm just going to be following through with a couple venues, a couple artists, some well-known, some not well-known, and just see what we can come up with. And instead of thinking to myself also with producing, oh my gosh, I have a friend that's produced, movies for Marvel, or another friend that's, directed for this company. Instead of comparing, I'm just going to be like, I have a new tool in my tool belt. And that's all I'm responsible for.
Right.
And then the next step will come.
Yeah.
And then the next step will come. I'm just being responsible to do the first and second step.
Right. I love that.
And it's crazy because I have this crazy faith to believe that sometimes God saves the best stories for later than what we thought.
Mm-hmm.
And we're like, what? I gave up on this, or what? I never thought this was going to happen. But I just think if we don't compromise too much and we don't give in to the there's two forces going on sometimes. And the greatest victory we can have on the daily basis is I'm just not going to give in to those lower level thoughts.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's huge.
Because in this time, I feel like in the world we're in, we're so inundated with news. We're so inundated with messages. And that's the biggest kind of war or battle that we face.
Yeah.
So if we can kind of engage in productivity and love and responsibility, but then inspiration, I feel like those 4 things are like the magic keys for like unlocking new doors.
Mm-hmm.
I'm really stoked that you came on, especially like kind of last minute.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate it.
Thank
This was
you.
a fun ride.
Was it? Because
Yeah.
I'm like going,
no, it's
normally I
awesome.
would have everything planned and like more, clear headed, but I just wanted to like share the story. And sometimes, it's like when you open a paint, kind of a paint bottle, it can just kind of overpour.
Yeah.
And sometimes I think we're so afraid to share because we think we can overpour, but the only way to have a masterpiece is to be willing to open that bottle of paint to begin with. So that's what I did today in sharing.
And we're gonna have you back at some point.
Oh,
for
I
sure.
would love
We're
that.
definitely gonna have you back.
I would love that. That would be actually great because then I could share the rest of how the album's going and the outreach and where we're at. That'd be an honor. Thank you.
Okay, let's do it.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah,
great.
absolutely.
One thing we always do, Quentin, I'll let you ask it,
Mhm.
but this is something we do with everyone who comes
Sure.
on.
Yeah, we want to know if you could share with us either keyword or phrase
Mm-hmm.
that sums up your journey thus far?
I think the word that comes to mind is perseverance.
It's a good one.
Perseverance. I am so grateful and so honored for being given opportunity to keep going and to keep believing and to keep pursuing. And when I run out of strength, I swear to you, there has to be a God, because when I run out of strength, something comes to give it to me again.
Mm-hmm.
And I definitely think perseverance would be my story.
Tiffany Ocean, you are an inspiration.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for coming by and inspiring us.
Thank you. Thank you so much.